Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we have a viewer question for the channel. And this might apply to many of you guys out there in similar situations. So I wanted to bring this question to you guys, to the channel, that was asked of me. So this one viewer asked the question. Well, they made a statement of a situation and just pretty much asked what should they do or how should they go about this. So their situation was they are in a relationship with somebody that they dated when they were in college. They were maybe in their early 20s, late teenage years, early 20s, in that kind of, I don't know, 19, 20, 21 range. Over the years, the guy, he's the one who's asking the question. The guy, we're going to call him, we're just going to make up a name. We're going to call him Joe. So, Joe um, got with this woman when he was in college, and he they had their moment during that time, but they kind of was just a kind of fling type of situation. He liked her a lot, but nothing happened. So it was always one of those things where it's like they stayed in contact, but he would always call this and that. Nothing happened in between that time during those years, and for almost close to 20 years until he kind of really eventually ended up getting a relationship with her. In between that time, she was throughout different relationships, was engaged twice. Um, he had his own experiences going on, but at the same time, Joe had said pretty much if it was up to him, he would have been with her, but that chance was never available to him. Fast forward about almost 20 years later, and he gets with her. They start up a relationship, and now he's with her, but she's very controlling, very bossy. He looks at himself and says to himself, I don't even know why she would want me now at this point. He's kind of at first happy about it, but then later on, once it starts becoming controlling and very negative, he says to himself, I'm not even really enjoying this. So it's one of those situations where you really like the person for a long time. You were maybe their plan, not even B or C, but probably plan D. But you were something that they were willing to give a try later on down the line. So I gave him my input on the situation and told him this. He wasn't a first choice. He wasn't a second choice, but he was an acceptable choice when it came down to almost 20 years later. And her family's probably saying to her, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to settle down? This friend Joe, this viewer of the channel, but also he's actually a friend of mine. He he's decently off. He's not rich or anything of that sort, but he is a great catch for the person. Financially, he can hold his own. So in that regard, he becomes a very safe choice to take home to the family. Somebody that that the family's going to respect, will be able to take care of if you have kids with them, but yet you didn't really desire in that way because you had 20 years to get with them. And if anyone's in a situation similar like this, then you can definitely relate. So letting them know that pretty much that is all you are. You're the safety option, and that I wouldn't recommend you stay in a situation like that. That was the advice I gave to him, and especially since the whole dynamic of it is becoming very controlling. And I'm gonna step back and give this advice to anyone who's in a similar situation. If you find yourself in a situation like that where you get with someone because you like them a whole bunch, in this case, if you're a man and you like this woman a whole bunch when she was in her 20s, years pass, and all of a sudden, now they're down to get with you. Don't get with them. Reject them completely. The reason why is because you weren't able to have them at their younger years, the years that you wanted. Now they come to you as a safe option. They already had their fun. You don't want to be anybody's second choice. You don't want to be anybody's backup plan, especially considering the fact that, you know, as men, you become your best as you get older. You get a little bit more mature, more refined. You start dressing better. You become into yourself. You get more confidence. You probably are more established at your career. You have all these things about you that are more positive, and that other person is looking at you now as, okay, you're a good option for me now. Whether it's that they want you now or whether they don't want you that much, but you're a safety choice because their family will accept it. They know the person they were probably dating before maybe didn't have a good job. Maybe they were the bad boy type. Maybe they weren't something they could bring home to the family. And now you are that, option that they're like, yep, this is that one I can settle down with, and people aren't going to look at me like what's wrong with me. People aren't going to, I'm not going to have to worry about, you leaving or breaking up with me or doing anything crazy. And you're safe. You're a safe option for them. Run away from those type right away, because if someone didn't want you in the beginning or many years back, they're not worth your time now. It doesn't matter. Don't view it as that's the prize, because most likely you haven't. And I mentioned this in a past video before. We sometimes have to do a reevaluation of our social market value. Sometimes we get so stuck in what things were for us when we were younger, maybe in your 20s, that you don't realize going through your 30s and maybe even close to your 40s that your social market value may have increased. And you have to go and assess that first and really take a deep dive in reassessing that, and in addition to that, going through a change that fits your new level so you know what your real social market value is as you reassess it. Meaning, don't just go out there and if you haven't let yourself kind of evolve and then you go off that social market value, have you updated the way you dress since the time that you were in your 20s or maybe late 20s? Have you reestablished or readjusted how you talk to people, how you carry yourself? If not, do those things. Now get a social market value of yourself. See where you fall. Obviously, it's going to be based on the reception that you get, the amount of different people that are willing to, give you a chance, the different options that you have. And from that, you'll probably see that you have changed dramatically from what you used to be. And with that being said, you will then change your outlook on what's acceptable and what's not. So that's the advice for that kind of situation. Like I said, if you guys find yourself in a situation similar to that, that is definitely the advice that I give you guys for that. Do not sit here and take somebody who rejected you in the past. In addition to that, even if your social market value has not increased, which most likely it has if you're a guy, but say if it didn't, say if you weren't taking care of yourself, you're out of shape, this and that, still do not take somebody who rejected you in the past unless it was a situation that you did something wrong and you rejected them. Now, if they come or they're still around and you want to accept them, that's a different story, because you were the one who pushed them away. They didn't push you away. But if they pushed you away in the past, do not accept them now in your future, because one, it's letting them know that they were able to treat you that way and they still got you, which means it's going to set the tone for the relationship moving forward, that they're always going to feel like they have control over the situation over you. In addition to that, it's just not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good for you knowing that you had to say, wow, I knew this person since they were in their 20s and I didn't get to enjoy those years with them, those youthful years with them back then. Because to be honest with you, the moment that the time frame that guys really appreciate the women is when the women are younger. Granted, usually the guys don't have access to them as much then, but this is why it's supposed to be an investment for the both of you. A woman is supposed to get with a guy when he's in his 20s and he may not be at his prime, but she's supposed to go through the journey with him as he becomes his prime. So he has the value of saying, I had her when she was at her youngest, when she was at her prime, when she was at her most beautiful. And the reward she gets is, I got to, I stayed with him as he evolved. And now that he's the best man he could be, now that he's established himself with his career, now that he's making investments, now that he's doing all these big moves, he's going to share that with me because I stuck around with him from the beginning. And of course, at that point, he's not leaving you for nothing, because his mentality is, well, you were here with me from the beginning. But when you don't have that dynamic take place, or a woman says, well, I'll leave the guy who I should get with early on, and maybe somewhere down the line, I'll be able to re-pick it up later on. That is a smack in the face to that guy. And off that alone, off your own sense of value and worth and having self-pride, you should never take somebody like that. That's my advice for anyone in that kind of situation. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you guys have any kind of questions or any kind of situation that you guys are in, leave them in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability and give you my honest opinion on what you should do. Um, Universal Guru for a reason. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.